folks, we're back with another installment of our new series, Dimension Lore, where we take an in-depth look at the stories that make up the world of Dimension Door. I'm Daniel, and I'm here with Robert, and in this segment, we'll be looking at the guest known as the Soldier. So to start this episode off, how about you tell us a little bit about the Soldier's gameplay, Robert?
So, as a soldier, you can imagine that he's had a lot of physical training, so a lot of his abilities are actually geared towards that. First off, he actually has the highest health out of all the guests at 12, whereas all the other ones tend to have either 10, 9, or 8. He also has the highest starting strength, which is at 4. His abilities, one of them is that he has an extra body slot to hold for certain equipment. And what that means is, in Dimension Door, characters can hold an item in either their left or their right hand, but they also have a body slot for things like maybe armor or some kind of jewelry. And then on top of that, they also have a mask slot where they can put an artifact called a mask, different types of masks. For him, he actually has 2 body slots. So you can imagine him wearing like double armor. It's insane. But he's a soldier, so he's really strong and he can do that. His other ability is an action ability where until the end of his next turn, he essentially can lure in monsters that are in his room to force them to attack him instead of other guests. So he kind of plays this tank role in Dimension Door. He distracts the monsters and they want to kill him. And he's like, hey, I have 12 health, it's no problem. And what makes that even better is he starts with the pump shotgun. And pump shotguns in Dimension Door not only deal a ton of damage in your space, but it also splashes. It'll deal damage not just to the monster you intended to hit, but every monster or every enemy in that space. So the soldier is this beefy, tanky, heavy hitter who just has a lot of physical traits and health. That being said, what he has in physical strength, he actually lacks in his own sanity. He doesn't have a very high wit, nor perception, and his sanity is actually fairly on the low end of it.
Okay, well, now that we have the gist of his abilities down, we should probably take a look at his artwork. From what I'm seeing here, it looks like there's a hole through a body, probably created from the shotgun in his hands.
Yeah, that'd be a safe assumption.
And he seems to be covered in blood. I would assume not his own blood.
No.
Because that's a pretty big hole.
Mm-hmm.
It's unclear what the hole is in. I mean,
presumably a creature or person. And actually, there is a very specific, and I'm just going to say it's a monster of some sort. It's a very specific monster that you can find in Dimension Door, and I'd love to hear what you all would actually think which one it is from the artwork that we've posted. But yeah, he's definitely he has taken a shot into this monster's body and created this hole, which makes this interesting little portrait.
Okay, well, here's my first idea. Judging from his abilities, I think it would be a good idea to do a story that kind of revolves around him maybe saving some people or helping some people out. Because, I mean, you said that he's like a tank.
Right.
So his ability is to get monsters to pay attention to him. It seems like it would kind of make sense if his story involved him, like, playing the Pied Piper, gathering monsters to follow him so that he can save some people that are in danger. And then, getting into a corner and blowing them to pieces.
Yeah. Actually, that ability really is kind of a play on the whole soldiers are together as a unit, and they're there to protect each other and cover for each other, and that's kind of where it came from. But it'd be interesting to have a more... Now, were you thinking more of like a supernatural kind of? When you said Pied Piper, that's what I started thinking. Like he's got some kind of supernatural ability to do that rather than a tactical proficiency in it.
I had originally been thinking about a tactical version because he's trained to do this, so he's...
Right.
It could be supernatural because maybe as someone who is going to end up in the mansion eventually, maybe he has some sort of connection with these monsters from the other dimensions.
Okay, so connection. What kind of connection do you think he might have with the mansion?
So I think it would be interesting to have the monsters sort of being attracted to him supernaturally to his location in his world outside of the mansion. So like I said, I want him to kind of be saving people. Maybe these monsters are here because of him. Maybe they're not really hunting him, but they're in the area because as they're both entities that will someday be in the mansion. The story should kind of reflect that these monsters are being drawn to him, and he thinks that he's the hero, that he's saving these people that are being attacked by the monsters, but maybe he eventually figures out that they're actually there because of him.
Ooh, interesting. So like almost like his main ability is actually always firing off in his world.
Exactly. So I mean, it comes from his natural ability as a military tactician, as a soldier, that he is able to kind of protect people and draw the battle to him. But it's actually something much more than that. It's a supernatural ability that he's probably had dormant inside of him all this time, and it's being used by the mansion and the monsters from the mansion and the different dimensions, that it's attracting them. And maybe he realizes that. Maybe once he finally realizes that, that's when he finds himself in the mansion.
Yeah, maybe through a long action montage of destroying monsters that he actually brought, he finds his way. He maybe starts researching, like, what are these things? Where are they coming from? And maybe there's some, hidden resources that can show him the way to this mansion. And then he's like, well, I thought I was protecting people, but I was just throwing them in harm's way just to save them. And now, well, if I really want to protect these people, I need to go out, find this evil, and purge it.
Exactly.
Okay, so to sum it all up, essentially, his ability was dormant, and it's now triggering, and it's pulling monsters from these other dimensions in a pseudo-natural way, and he thinks he's protecting people, and eventually finds out he's not. And that leads him to the mansion. Whether it's through research or just blowing them up as they come, and eventually leads to a trail. So we want to know from you guys what kinds of monsters you think would be interesting for him to encounter, to have to defeat, to save people from. Maybe you have your own ideas of what kinds of monsters you want, or maybe you think it'd be really cool to have a certain monster that we've already posted on our website, game info tab, or any of the ones we posted on our various social media. Go ahead and post that in the comments here below on YouTube, and maybe even on our social media pages. You can go to our website, www.inspiralgaming.com, and at the bottom of our page you can it links to all of our social media. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think this story is interesting? Do you have better ideas to spice things up? So just let us know. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Dimension Lore, Brainstorming the Soldier. I know I had a great time. Thank you, Danny, for coming and brainstorming with me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too, and I hope we get to do a couple more of these.
For sure. Thanks, guys.